Choose your character.
All right. Welcome back to the Geek Set Podcast, the only podcast that blend hip hop culture and geek culture together. I'm your boy Deuces, and this is 101 with Deuces. And today, man, we got somebody that, even though she is young, she is already legendary. We have the one and only, the Queen Wolftyla. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing well. I'm taking it day by day. I
Yeah.
ended up having a close friend pass on Monday evening.
Oh,
So
condolences.
I've been going through all those, thank you, all those grieving stages. But other than that, I'm just trying to just choose joy and be
Mhm.
present and finish up the school stuff and work upon
Yeah.
an album. And, just I think we're all out here just kind of juggling. So
Yeah. So, the first thing, I already talked about it in post a little bit with you, but we like to make sure that we give people their flowers. Shout out to Noriega and Drink Champs because they kind of made it popular to make sure that you give people their flowers while they're here. And
absolutely.
one of the reasons why we connected, and I'll tell you the exact moment on how it happened. One day I was just on Twitter, and then I think it was a post that you had posted where it was like all your fans who were showing off their tattoos of your logo and everything, right? And I was like, wait, is that the same Wolftyla from Vine? And so I started going down the rabbit hole of seeing everything that you did since then. And I said, yo, this is amazing to see. And I was like, I'm gonna make sure I say it. So I put it on Twitter, like, yo, I've seen Wolftyla from Vine to where she is at now. And this is such a dope thing to see. And it is. It's like to see that growth, to see somebody who is able to capitalize off of 6 seconds of content to go to this full-fledged artist that is worldwide with such a beloved fan base. It is so dope to see. And then not only that, the music and everything matches, right? So it could have been like one of those things like, well, she just got a name, but no, the music is dope. The visuals, you can see all the work that you put into it. So from my fan base and from me personally to seeing it, I just want to let you know, like, what you bring to this game and everything that you've been doing, it is not unlooked. Like, we see it, it is dope, and we applaud you.
This is so crazy. I feel like this is the first time that I'm actually sitting here and actually receiving flowers like this. I think I'm just like actually just in shock. My mind is still like very foggy, but I am so grateful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I think being an independent artist and then just, transitioning from that Vine platform, it was tough.
I know.
It's still tough,
Yeah.
and I think someone like you, and then also, your fan base too, just recognizing that from mine. Oh my gosh, it's just like, wow, outside of people who have been with me for like so long, and then people who are just still up around me very
Mhm.
close, it's really interesting to see that somebody could just have that moment of being like, oh my God, wait, I
Yeah.
remember seeing a 6 second video and then connecting it back and doing that rabbit hole journey. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, you got to think about it this way. Like, when a lot of times us creators, we're in the moment and we're just working and working, right? So if you think about it in your sense, you really haven't had a moment to really breathe yet because you're still on that independent grind and you are the captain of your ship. Right. So it's like you're putting out the content, you had to create the music, you have hands on with the videos. Because like I said, I've seen how you work behind the scenes. I see the imprint that you put in on everything that is the Wolftyla brand. So it's like you haven't had that moment to be like, yo, I really did that. Like, you have some really
Right.
big things underneath that is like, you probably was like, oh, this was cool to do. But it's like, no, that is like, whoa, you did a song with Timbaland. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's like you did a whole campaign with the League of Legends. It's like, this is not things to be like, hey, that's no, that is like huge. So it's like, it is
Thank
that,
you.
and I
I think
understand.
even you just saying it, it's kind of like, slowly resonating with me. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I did do a song with Timberland. Yeah, I did
Yeah.
do a song with League of Legends. I think, something that's always just drove me to continue to keep on going is just, you know, working with people that, I care for outside
Mhm.
of just the industry, and then also just working with people that genuinely want to work with me. I
Mhm.
mean, that's like the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
Just makes the space so much more safer, and it makes it just fun. And sometimes it does really just not allow you to really sit in that moment
Yeah.
for as long as you can. I think, like you said, just being on that independent journey and feeling like you have to do everything by yourself and almost being in this like survival mode version of yourself, you never really get a moment to, take your head above water and be like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
like I'm swimming,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And then
like
I
these
think
type of settings definitely make me like stop and think for a second. So that's why I'm always like taken back, like, oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And then I think where you had the benefit of a doubt that a lot of artists are now just trying to figure out is that because of how you did Vine, and then even with you doing the Wolftyla sessions of showing you in the studio and things like that, you brought your fan base into you as a person, right? The one thing about Vine is that like even before you started showcasing your music, it was like a lot of jokes, a lot of things, just you and your personality. So like
Oh
your fan
yeah.
base, the reason why we're so connected to you, and like you, I see it all the time. Like I said, I do a lot of research before I do these interviews, and the constant thing that I see is people like, yo, Wolftyla's a vibe. Yo, I just want to vibe with Wolftyla. I want to kick it with her. And I think it is because we get to see your humor. We get to see how you are when you chilling. We get to see you vibing out to music, and that's something that a lot of artists, they haven't been able to crack that code of that. Like, oh, I can show my artistry and show who I am as a person. A lot of people, they try to still be either they try to hold certain things off, or like they just don't know how to bring their personality on screen. And you've been doing that since you were 16.
Yeah. It's really crazy. I think now that I've started to, tap more into the music world. I mean, what I look at it is like, music is definitely just a layer
Yeah.
of who I am, and I started off with Vine and showing off my personality. And I think I've always just been very open.
Mm-hmm.
And I have my moments where, I close off sometimes, and it depends. I might be working on like a project, and that just might need to be the process that I need to go through. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think this music is definitely a layer of that entire Vine journey. I think it's really incredible that now that, I had the opportunity to be on that platform and make these 6-second videos, now I can make music videos and I could tap into these other spaces. So it's something that I've always loved to show the process of. I know that there's always someone out there that's either feeling the way that I do or look the way that I do. And that's why I also just really value representation too,
Yeah.
because someone somewhere needs that person that maybe looks or sounds or goes through those similar experiences, and able to just look at them and be like, oh wow, they're still here and they're still doing it.
Yeah.
I think every single time that I wake up, I just know that I serve such a larger purpose outside than just myself.
Yeah.
So when I do things, I try to do things very intentional with that background of that, somebody's watching,
Yeah.
somebody's soaking in this information. And I think also coming from like a background of having two younger sisters, I'm the oldest. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm always feeling like I'm out here just trying to set the tone.
Now with your younger sisters, is it the like because they're your sisters, they like, I mean, they don't really look at Wolftyla, or are they in awe of what you're doing and like, I want to be like big sis?
I don't think, I think they have gone to a place where, well, maybe not the 10-year-old, because I have a 10-year-old sister.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also have a sister that just turned like 20.
Okay.
And I'm 26. So we are so far apart. So I think at a certain moment, it was very mutual. I
Yeah.
had a couple of like my younger sisters wanting to be like me, but then I'm looking at my middle sister and I'm like, I
Right.
want to be like you. I'm trying to get like you, my boy. Like,
Right. Trying to be like you, my
um,
boy.
yeah. And like that middle sister is definitely, she's coming into her shell. She's actually um like doing her thing in the gaming world,
Oh,
which is
nice.
really funny. She is super like locked in her studio space.
Yeah.
Her game that she plays is like Apex Legends, and it's so crazy the story behind it because in the middle of the pandemic, I was really locked in
Yes,
on
you
Apex.
was. Yes, it was.
We're locked in. I was up all hours, and I've always loved video games and that community and that world from just like playing. Oh man, I played so many games from off of like the Wii to the Nintendo DS to the PlayStation, everything. So just to see her going down that route
Yeah.
is like amazing. And then the 10-year-old sister, she's dipping and dabbling with sports. So
Okay.
I think she looks up to me there because I
Okay.
started off as an athlete before Vine, before
Yeah.
everything. So
So has your the middle sister, has she challenged you in Apex yet? Because I know, like I said, you've been playing it hard. Like, do y'all go at it?
we have played. We played a lot during the pandemic, and that's actually when I introduced the game to her, and she was like, "What? Like this is stressful. Like I don't know how to like
Yeah.
coordinate in this and what is X and what is triangle and this."
Yeah.
And I was just like, no, just try it. Like it's so fun. And I really was hyping it up to her. And now she's ever since that day,
Yeah.
she has been completely locked in and just made those sacrifices to really, navigate on her own journey.
No, that's really dope because, like I said, the gaming industry, like I said, we was just at DreamCon and big Blur convention ran by our DC World, and it was at the E Stadium in Arlington, Texas. And I was like, this was the first time that I ever been to a stadium that was geared towards straight gaming and content and everything like that. And so like they had these big, huge screens, and they had a Smash Bros tournament. And it was just really dope how they had it set up. And I was like, yo, this is like all the time when I grew up and my parents were telling me get off that game and look where it's at now. Like these games are
Right.
making
Like
mad
little did
money.
you know, I'm in this, $1 billion
Right.
industry. Right. It's
So now
fun.
I gotta ask, because you dropped a whole lot of gaming systems. What is your favorite system?
My favorite system, PS4.
PS4?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm locked in on that. I feel like that's probably the only system that I have right now, other than the I don't know what it's called. It's like the thing where you put it to the TV and then you could play Mario, and then it also comes in like
The Nintendo Switch?
the Nintendo Switch. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Now
So I
you
play
also
like Zelda and like
yeah.
Mario Bros and Sonic and Donkey Kong, and, all those legendary games on there.
It's funny because like those are like very, very fun games, but then like I know that you're heavy in like Apex and Grand Theft Auto, which are like competitive hardcore games and everything like
Yeah.
that.
I think Apex definitely more than GTA, but yeah, Apex, oh my God. It was bad, I think at a certain point. I mean, I wouldn't say it was bad, but definitely it made me understand the perspective of like maybe when you're talking to someone, you're dating someone, and you text them and they don't answer back, and you're like, what are you doing that you can't answer my text or my call
And
back?
she's
And
like,
you're
I'm on the game.
like, man, I'm on the game. So I finally got that perspective when I tapped into that world. I'm like, okay, I understand now. But it was
Yeah.
funny how when the roles switched and when like my homies would like text me and stuff like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm on the game. They're like, you be playing. So it's
Now,
funny.
because you have a sports background, are you a trash talker? Like, do you get competitive or like?
Oh yeah. Which I think after like, months of therapy and chipping away at that, I definitely have mellowed out.
Yeah.
But when I was in those like very competitive, I mean, every single time that I hit the court, because I used to play basketball, my parents got me involved with sports very, very early,
Right.
like before I could even form a thought. So they put me in basketball, they put me in lacrosse, tennis, track,
Mhm.
drama, dance. They put me soccer. They had me in a lot of things until
Yeah.
it narrowed down to basketball, and that was like my love. So It definitely, yeah, I am a trash talker, and I definitely was trash talking when playing Apex. I had the mic on.
Yeah. Now, so I mean, given the opportunity, because they always do like these, influencer, like basketball games or celebrity basketball games. Would you partake in something like that if the
I
opportunity
would
came?
absolutely do that. I think I had gotten invited to maybe like one, but I
Hmm.
wasn't in town at the time. I believe they were having it in LA and I was in New York or
Yeah.
vice versa, something like that. And but I would definitely go to the celebrity basketball game for sure. And I would definitely run point. So
We gotta put it out there, like hashtag Wolftyla on the court. Like we gotta get out there.
oh yeah.
Now you started, like you said, you talked about it earlier, but you started your journey, with going to NYU. You're in school. How has that been, for you? Like, is it strictly online, or are you going in classes?
So it is blended. Some are
Okay.
online and some I actually do have to be in person for. And that's actually the reason why I moved back to New York and did a cross country trip. So originally I was born and raised here, but then I ended up leaving for 3 years, lived in LA, and then randomly just went cross country and brought all my stuff and I
Yeah.
moved here. And that was really for the sake of wanting to finish up my degree originally when I entered the school in 2014. Yeah, I think, yeah, 2014 is when I entered the school. And that's when I really was trying to take basketball and kind of connect it with sports management. So I was
Right.
all about like that sports management, sports business. All those classes were geared towards that. But then randomly, in the middle of the pandemic, I enrolled back into school. And for that first year, all of them were just online. So I was able to coordinate the schedule that
Right.
if I had an 8 a.m., I was waking up at 5 a.m. every day in LA to go to those classes until I was able to kind of transfer schools within the school
Ah,
get
okay.
into the music business program, which I'm now in. And now I'm in my senior year and I'm living in
Hey.
New York and just trying to get that music business degree.
Yeah, I love that part of your journey because, like you said, that one of the reasons why you want to complete this is like you want to help other artists who may have like so they don't have to struggle like how you had it or have to go
Oh,
such a hard
yeah.
path, right? And I feel like the industry in general, any industry we're in, they generally do that, right? Whereas like one person goes through it. It's pretty much the Hove did that. So hopefully you ain't got to go through that. Like you like, yeah, Wolftyla did that. So like you and I love the fact that your basis is I'm going to give back. I'm
Yeah.
going to give back and help other people. And I think that that's what helps out like the industry change so much. Like, so much has changed from from back then how it was to now, where now creators pretty much you have everything at your helm. Like you can run your business. So more people who do that and can teach back, like it adds more value to it. And because your whole career, in a sense, has been documented, like you are your own case study.
I don't think I even realized how much of it is documented either, which is so wild because, things kind of started when I was like 16.
Hmm.
Now it's been what, 10 years.
Yeah.
It's so crazy that when people do reach out and say, like, oh, I know you from Vine, it's like, oh, when I was like 16, 17, 18. So it's really crazy to feel like I grew up with so many people just
Right.
watching. Yeah.
Now, looking back at your 16-year-old self,
Mm.
did you expect this? Like to have people literally tattooing your logo on them?
Absolutely not. There was no way to ever think that I would be doing what I love, being around the people that I love, creating things from nothing to
Right.
something with the people that I love, and essentially just, keep on giving back. I never thought. I think a lot of the people that support me know that I've been very open with, like my mental health and
Yeah.
the struggles of just going through, clinical depression and anxiety and just even that shift from being never noticed in spaces that I would go to automatically overnight, it just went to, being recognized in certain areas like going to the movies and
Yeah.
things like that, it really played with my head. So truthfully, I could not see anything past 18 years old.
Okay.
So I think every single moment from 18 and up until this day, it's just a lot of moments of gratitude. It's really always about giving back, and it's always about, just showing up and making sure that the people that tune in and make me feel seen and heard are always felt that mutual respect. So
Yeah. Yeah, and it's really dope to see because like your fan base, they'll like you respond to them in so many different ways. Like
right.
I've saw countless amount of DMs that of where they're like excited that you just replied, and seeing you give advice to people or talk, like that thought process. A lot of people don't get to that thought process early, but you seem to have that early. Where did that thought process come to keep you so connected with the people that support you?
I think what makes me want to just stay connected with them is because I essentially feel like they were the ones that spoke so much light into me when I was going through such a dark time. Even though I was on the Vine platform and I was making all this content and it was so bright and airy and it was funny and it was ha ha ha. I definitely behind the scenes was going through a lot of, different emotions. I was a athlete at the time. I think also when the popularity started gaining on those platforms, not everyone around me really agreed with it,
Uh,
like even just going to school, it was really difficult. Like when I would be playing basketball, sometimes we would go to away games, and some of those people at those away games had seen some of the Vine content that I posted up. So they thought it would be funny to kind of just scream those chants while I'm on the free throw line. There was a lot of things that were going on during that time. And I think, everything comes with good and bad.
mhm.
But I think that connection of those who really do see you, I think it's so important to, stay in touch. And I think it's a huge matter of trust too, because when my fans or any of my listeners DM me and they say, hey, this is what I'm going through, this is what I'm struggling with, is there any kind of advice that you have? If I have it, I'm going to give it,
Mm.
and I think that's a part of my purpose. So it's something that happens very naturally.
Yeah, no, that's super dope. I think, like I said, I was having a conversation with somebody, and I was telling them, I said, one of like there's certain artists that I'm internally connected with because I've seen their journey, right? Like
Mm.
Machine Gun Kelly, no matter what he goes through, when he was doing those day-to-day vlogs showing him, you know, doing these small concerts and small stuff, I watched all of those. I'm from the Midwest, I'm from Milwaukee. So he was from the Midwest, and I was like, yo, this is pretty dope to see. Wiz Khalifa used to do the day-to-day thing, and so it was like I was seeing these artists grow to these heights that they are, and so it was like I became so emotionally connected with them to be able to see, like, anytime when they do respond back or reach back to their fan base or their supporters and everything, it is really dope to see that. It is something that I think it's what creates a longevity. Like I saw, like you had even floated around the idea. You was like, "Ooh, I think I want to try to, try my hand at auditioning for like a TV show or a movie." And the overwhelming support that came from, like, "Yes, we want to see you here," which of course was a lot of your core fan base. But it was like, "Yo, that's really dope to see."
Yeah, I think I definitely am blessed with the fact that if there's any one thing I could really say about my fan base and just the people who listen to my music, there is no such thing as a big idea with them.
No.
I feel like I could get on Snapchat or on the story, or I'll do like the Q&As, and I'm like, hey, like, what y'all think about me, maybe starting up a podcast or writing a book or doing this or, going back to school. And
Mhm.
they're all like, forward, like, yes, let's do it. Like, we out. So,
Yeah.
but I also love the fact that they also just hold me accountable to things.
Oh yeah.
I feel like also as an artist or just a human and a sister, a dog mom, all these other, positions that I feel like I play,
Yeah.
they definitely keep me very level-headed, and but also throw so much light at me. And then there's
Yeah.
some that are just very aggressive, like,
Yeah.
we need the album now.
Well, fans, I mean, they definitely gonna want it, but they also have high confidence in you. I think I saw one post like somebody was like, "Oh, who should get on this song?" That was like Beyonce, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure if Wolftyla had to connect with Beyonce, she would
Right.
definitely get on.
And that just really supports the message of that they don't think anything is too
Nope.
big. And I think, and I love that, because a lot of the times, while they're manifesting things, I'm working on it. I'm trying to just double that energy and put it into the world too. So
Yeah.
it's really nice to see when they make like even collaboration ideas, but then also feel like sometimes when I do collaborations, they're like, nah, take that person off. Like, you got it, you got it.
You got
Just
it.
take it off. And that's where I'm just like, I gotta talk to them like, we gotta be respectful. Like, you can't do that. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. But it's I started seeing that in a lot of influencers, right? Where like you're able to build a fan base so much where you have to talk to your fan base separately sometimes. Like, hey, like you got to give them like the
yeah,
family talk. Like, hey, we got company coming over, so like I can't be cutting up.
exactly. Because they are ready to for sure turn up,
Yeah.
and it's just like we're really a community. I really believe that we're a family. I mean, if we're all getting the same tattoo tatted together, I mean, come on now, like,
Yeah.
so we're definitely locked in.
So I gotta ask, how did the League of Legends thing happen?
So the League of Legends thing happened through email.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, through email. The League of Legends team ended up just reaching out to me and said, we want you to be a part of this. And they were like, we want to throw a couple songs at you and see, like, is this something that you want to be a part of? And I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of research and listened to the music, and I think it was something that was really special that organically happened.
Yeah. Oh, that's dope. That because that means that the brand was big enough that they was like, oh, we need to be in the Wolftyla business, and then so like that they wanted to work with you and collab. So that's yeah.
It was really the process was just really cool. And I'm always trying to be as present as I possibly can in those moments. So now just like thinking back on it, I was like, yeah, I was in the studio for a couple of days. Like, the process was pretty fast, but at the same time, there was so much effort and just like focus that went into it. So I think I didn't realize the impact of it until after it released. And I'm like, oh wow, like that's my voice. I'm a part of that. Like,
Right.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
And when people started giving me my flowers on that, and having like discussions like on socials and stuff, I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. Like,
Yeah.
I love that I could tap into the gaming community, because also, like how I mentioned, my sister is a part of that community. So it's just cool to just branch those worlds.
Yeah, because like now that like when you start thinking about like how these games incorporate so many artists, like I start thinking about like GTA Online and how like they're bringing in like Dr. Dre and DJ Pooh, and like and especially with your personality, I can definitely see you within Grand Theft Auto universe.
So crazy, because you're not the first person who has said this. The first person who said this was this really, I mean, like one of my close friends, but also a really great artist. His name is Beam. And he's a part of, I guess, the GTA community. I'm like I was on old school like GTA, like the one where I play on the PS4. But he had called me the other day and he was like, yo, you need to get on this new GTA. And I was like, why would I do that? Do this. And he was just like, you need to get the mic, get the setup, get the camera, just do it. Like, you would go crazy on that platform just with just having you on there. And I was like, I'll think about it. I'll think about it. So
Well, so no, but I'm more so talking about as a character. So you have a very unique voice, and it's very full of like life and character, and and so and then also with like with your humor, like when you play the GTA storyline or anything, like how those characters are, like I can see you being an actual like character in the game.
Oh, in the game.
Yeah, part of the storyline. That's what I'm saying.
They're gonna drag me to the basement.
Well, because like I mean, have you like I know that you floated out the idea about acting, but like the one thing that especially with creators and especially with everything that you've done online, voice acting is something that can really be a very fruitful.
Oh, that would be so cool. That's definitely on my bucket list because I during the pandemic I was submitting a lot of like voice characters and stuff like that, but I'm hoping that one definitely falls through. But I would for sure be a character on GTA. What?
Yeah, see, like I said, I can already see the character storyline, like just you popping up, and then like they usually try to model the character off of the person. Like that would be really dope to see like a digital version of you in a game. Like I think that probably would be something that would be really cool.
Everybody has the stereotypical on what a black geek is. Are you familiar with the term blurred?
Blood, no.
Right. Some people said it came off of Scrubs. Some people said it came off the internet. I don't honestly really know.
Don't you see the skin, the eyebrows, the hair?
Yo, my geeks still rock, you know what I'm saying, Dunks or Jordans or whatever.
Did I do that?
It's exciting. It's like, holy, oh, my dog is gonna start barking.
It's all right.
She's excited about it too.
And same as you said, like a barbershop talk, like we would go into really in-depth conversations about these theories and like, well, what if and how come?
It's not unusual to be
right? But we talk about anime, video games, comic books and stuff like that, but when you hear us talk about it, the passion sounds like we arguing Jordan and Bron.
What do you mean? What does that even mean? What does that even mean?
Like it sounds like barbershop talk.
Because you don't know the history, don't mean it ain't happened, dog.
Broke that down right there.
But when you see the black geek, you don't see that. You see the socially awkward glasses. Well, this is me. And that's not a lot of us. A lot of us do sound and talk like us. You know what I'm saying?
It's because it becomes stereotypical, as if that's where our strength comes from.
I don't know the geek that you talked about before. I know the geek you're talking about right now, though.
It was sort of a call sign so we could find each other on message boards.
Anime gives you life lessons throughout that whole thing. Like, there's not one anime that I know of that doesn't teach you to never give up.
It's just like, I just love seeing us go into the world and go into these different spaces and create things that weren't there before. And then it was like Miles Morales is like the normal, black person in the United States.
That was my first blurred moment, was seeing Storm on the X-Men cartoon series. And I was like, wow, that's a black woman and she's strong, she's powerful.
That's what I want for us. I want us to be that voice.
So one thing that I like, so I'm a artist as well, right? I do music as well. And I know that like the studio is usually like a place of serenity. Like it's like a place that you can decompress and everything. Like you can really get, pour your emotions out there, right? And during the pandemic, I know that you created a studio. Now, is it in this home where you're at? Like, okay, yeah. So my question is this, because now you're at home and like, with the studio being that place of serenity, and like I said, you are big on mental health and with your emotions, how has that helped your mental health, like being able to have that creative space and your living space so close?
I think for a long time when I was living in LA, I actually did not have a studio set up in my home. For 3 years, for the entire time that I was in LA, I was always going to the studio. And I think it was because of the fact that I was a little weary about having my personal space so close to my workspace. It was finding that middle ground of just comfortability and then also the discipline too, which I think going back to school has helped me to kind of be on a schedule. Because when you live in LA and you don't go to school and you just live on your own time, it's very like, I'll wake up at 6 p.m. It's fine. And then all of a sudden you're up at 3. So I think this was probably for the past, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 months. I think that's when I finally set it up in my room. And I was like, okay, this is okay. This is fine.
Right.
Ever since then, I just have not stopped recording. And I want to say, I think it was a while ago. I think the first person that had told me to set up a studio space, set up, like, bring your mic with you when you travel, bring your speakers. The first person that I saw do that was Bryson Tiller.
Oh yeah.
And ever since then, it was always just subconsciously in my mind, like very, very behind in my mind. But I just always remember that was the first person I was like, that's a game changer. That's going to separate you from everybody else because it's just right here. And when you learn to like engineer yourself, which thankfully I have finally learned, and I can't even, I'm still wrapping my head around the fact that this is the first year that I've learned to engineer, because obviously I've been always, compensating and being involved with other people who do it.
Yeah.
So now that I'm able to kind of acquire that skill, I'm like, oh, game changer.
Yeah.
So I love it. I really do love it. I think also it's challenged me to be disciplined within myself too. Like, girl, if you got to wake up at 8 a.m. till 7:30, which when I first entered, like when I first had it all set up, I was definitely doing that. And it was shambles. I was so tired. I just was floating through life. But now I'm getting in a little schedule. I'm learning myself. I'm learning when I'm most creative, because that's really important. So it's been working out.
Yeah, no, that's dope. Like, I know, like, when we first started our podcast, we was doing the same thing. We were being a part of shared space and everything like that, and booking time and stuff like that. And we would have an engineer, and then right before the pandemic, during the pandemic hit, and we was like, we don't want to lose, the traction that we've been doing with this podcast, because, like, again, it's the niche of our podcast is Black geeks, and being able to say, hey, we love this space, right? But again, we still love, like, a lot of creators like yourself. And so I was like, let's get these interviews. And I was like, but how? It was more so just setting up the time. And I was like, everybody is doing Zoom right now, so everybody's podcast looked the same. It was just 2 squares and a black bar. And I said, I want to do something different, right? So, like, I created, I went to school for graphic design, again, out of a need. Like, as a musician, I felt like people was overcharging me for flyers and mixtape covers. So I said, I'm gonna teach myself how to do it, because I'm sitting here paying $100, $200 for each. And I'm like, I got a lot that I'm doing. So I end up teaching myself, and then I end up getting good at it, to the point where other artists was like, yo, can you do something for me? And then I remember, like, yesterday, it was some random person hit me up for a website, and they cashed me out. And I said, ooh, I want more of that. So I said, I'm gonna go to school, so that way I got the the degree to match my talent. But like, I just never really put it out there like I'm working for people. So, but I say that all to say, I said, I'm not going to just have the black squares. So I created an overlay. I created how it looks. I created a whole intro, it's like a choose your character style intro, but it's what made us stand out. So now, even though I'm interviewing you via Zoom, the way it aesthetically looks, it looks appealing to where it's like, it takes the viewer, it's not just a Zoom interview. It's like, oh, this is something different, right? But it is that I had to teach myself how to video edit. I had to teach myself how to create this overlay and how to put these in there. And once you do that, the productivity of yourself actually puts out faster. Because now I'm like, only thing I need to do is I just need to schedule these interviews and get these done. And like I said, I've been fortunate enough to get people like yourself. Like, to this day, I'm always still shocked when people reply. And everybody that I've interviewed, they're super dope, like really dope individuals. And I understand why, because it's like, yeah, they're just down to earth people. But still, from the other side looking in, I'm just like, yo, I've been watching this person for like the past 10 years, and now I'm talking to them on my platform about stuff. Like, it is still that. But it's like, yeah, once you teach yourself a craft, I get it. Like I said, you're like, man, I'm I'm engineering. I spent so much money paying
1,000%.
engineers.
I think that's probably my new skill that I have learned. And I've been trying to be just intentional with every month of like, teach yourself something. You don't have to be good at it, but teach yourself something that maybe would just keep you productive, or it might just, it might channel into something else. So engineering now, I'm like, oh, and then I had to go through this whole emotional thing where I'm like, I've paid a lot of engineers for a lot of sessions to not get anything done in that session. And it plays with your head a little bit.
It definitely does.
But I think also that moment of recognizing those past things of like, oh, I could have done this, I could have done that, I could have put this in the savings, I could have not spent that. It also just brings you back to that huge moment of gratitude for learning the skill. Because now you don't have to do whatever that you were doing before. You can move different. You can move way smarter. And that's something that I really told myself this year. Stop working harder, work way smarter.
Yeah.
And apparently I just saved so much money for myself. So
well,
happy about that.
It also it helps you realize your value a little bit more, right? Because when you are relying on so many other people to do certain things, right, that's when you do shell out a lot of money, right? But when you start knowing that you can do things on your own, then when people come at you with a deal, it may be a respectable brand and say, hey, we're going to give you this, and you're like, I already do that. So there's really no incentive for me working with you if you only going to do the things that I can already do myself.
And when you're getting better at whatever that you're trying to craft, it's very easy to see and pick out who is good at that and who doesn't. Who's technically better than you or more crafted or had more, experience, and who's like on the same level of like, oh, we're both learning. So I thought that was really interesting too, because I had a lot of engineers, which is fine. But I had a lot of engineers that couldn't, get the key right.
Yeah.
Why can't you get the key?
That's if you call yourself an engineer, then this is what
right.
you
But going into that session, also not knowing how to get the key, when you have two people that don't know how to do something, it's just like, no, you do it. Yeah. Oh, me, I don't know. Well, you figure it out. So it's just kind of like who figures it out first.
Yeah.
Who's committed to really just obtaining that knowledge, because anything that you learn, it's very hard to forget. Anything that you're revealed to, it's very hard to kind of just pretend like you never learned it or see it. So
yeah. So you're half Black and half Korean, correct? Right. And
right in the middle.
Right in the middle. And during the pandemic, both cultures was going through a lot of stuff and everything.
Oh my God.
Right. And I think that one of the things that I love that I saw, because like I consider myself an ally for a lot. Like during the pandemic, I went hard with my allyship for like the LGBTQ plus community. When it was Asian hate, I was like, I know so many Asian people that I respect, that I hold at a high regards. And I was like, I want to make sure I hold my allyship. And that's what I saw a lot of that, because like I said, one of the things that we love anime, Japanese culture, Chinese culture. So it was like, it was one of those things where it was like, yeah, it was like a lot of shit response. And I see that even coming back with K-pop artists rocking with a lot of hip-hop artists and hip-hop elements. So like I thought that it was beautiful to see like both cultures that were who were
very underrepresented.
Underrepresented was coming together on a lot of things, to help each other out and everything. And I just kind of wanted to know, like, I know that you're big on representation and everything during that time period. Like where was your mind at during everything that was going on?
During that period, I mean, aside from just, stepping away from social media, I think it definitely brought my family more closer together, of just making sure that we stay in contact with each other and just really comforting both sides during that time. It almost felt like, you were kind of getting two-pieced. And I think when you come from two backgrounds that are very underrepresented, it's almost like, sometimes you get in the middle of it and you're like, well, which one is more underrepresented right now that I could just focus on this one and then focus on that one. So it almost felt like I was just hopping in and out of like a pool and a jacuzzi. It was crazy. So I mean, during that time, I was able to like raise as much money as I possibly could for like an organization. It's like NAACP. And what I did was I collaborated with Pantone, and we ended up just making this t-shirt that pretty much like brought awareness to like racism and the things that were going on during that time, and just made as many donations as we could. I felt like, merch is something that really drives a lot of the things that I'm able to do, whether it's like create,
to
have just a roof over my head, and those type of payments, I was like, let's use merch. Let's do something, and I just felt like at that time it was better to do something that I could, rather than feeling like, well, I can't do too much. So merchandise was something that I really tried to push during that time to then make donations. So I was really happy that we could collaborate with an organization like Pantone and just, push it forward.
Yeah, and speaking of fashion, I mean, I think it's no shock to anybody in general, but your fashion sense is impeccable. Like,
thank you.
Right? And then because your Wolf members only brand, like even just that, like the way that you guys do your photo shoots, the way that the things look, like there's such an artistic approach to it. Like it reminds me, like as much as people say about Kanye, his vision in fashion and how he pushes the limits and the vision, like the way that the way that things come out be really dope. And I think that, like I said, you are from that wheelhouse in a sense where it's like the way that, like, however, like how you dress, the way that you put clothes together, the way that you approach fashion, we can see it in your brand as well. And you're creating the imagery of it as well. I was like, it's just so dope. And it was like, was that something that was always in you? Like, was it always like fashion, music, content, like, or was that something that you later got into?
I think, I always say that I feel like everything stems back down to basketball for some reason. When they say ball is life, it really was my life. I think maybe that had probably stemmed from, I think when you step out on the court, it's like, what shoes are you wearing? What socks are you wearing? Did you match the socks with the shoes? Are the shoes a completely different color palette than the shorts that you're wearing? Like, what are you doing to even just add to the uniform to just essentially make yourself feel comfortable and confident when you step out on that court? So something that was huge for me during those, one thing that I would hate are just, uniforms that are terrible. Like they're too heavy, or they're not dry fit. Like you're sweating and the sweat's not going anywhere. Like, so I think that probably started up my sense of fashion, and just really making sure that just the brand itself, Wolf Members Only, is always pushing confidence, being comfortable in your skin. And this is the reason why I always say a wolf in wolf skin, is because obviously everybody has that message of like, oh, a wolf in sheep's clothing. Like it's trying to act like what it's not. No, it's just a wolf in wolf skin. And I think that's that's something that really resonates with the fan base, because like we just show up as who we are. So that's why I make sure that whatever's available is just like available in all sizes. The quality is good. And then also that it's a safe space too. So we put like a little bit of reflective material on it. So
and then dang it, I can't. I thought I wrote it down because it wasn't until I started doing research that I realized I did not know WOLF was an acronym. I thought I just thought like it was WOLF, like the animal one. What does it stand for again?
We only love family.
You only love family. Now, was that your brainchild? Was that something that you and your friends had? Like, where did WOLF come from?
WOLF came from well, it's just always been kind of a nickname growing up. Like, I don't know why.
About to say, wait, they called you WOLF?
It's so random. But I think just like the spiritual element of it, like I was always like oh, look at the moon, look at the moon.
Okay. So that's like your spirit. That's your spirit animal.
Yeah. So I think it's definitely, I mean, it would be crazy if I find out that I had a different spirit animal than wolf. So I would be taken back and baffled.
Right.
But I think it's just it's a spiritual thing too. I think growing up, I've always been very known to just really care about my friends and also being a part of just like communities where I'm playing basketball, it's always very like pack oriented.
Yeah.
But then also there's always a moment where, you know, you're just very alone and you're by yourself and you're completely okay and comfortable with being by yourself and in that moment of solitude. So it's just Wolf.
Yeah. And I mean, I
very territorial too. So
right, but see, and I also love, like I said, you know, there's a couple of elements about it that where it makes very much sense for, like I said, your following and your fan base. Like you said, you guys run in pack, and like I said, the Wolftyla fan base, y'all, we come out deep, like it's deep, you know.
They come out deep. We ended up having a pop-up shop in Soho, I believe like maybe 2 months ago or a month ago, and they pull up. they pull up. There were some people that were like, yeah, you know, I heard you were having this. And I was like, okay, cool. And they're like, I drove all the way from Connecticut. Like, I drove from here, or I just flew out. And I'm like, for this? Really? Like, and it's always so shocking. So it's really cool.
So speaking of coming out with that, like you performed at Rolling Loud.
Yeah, in Miami.
How, like, that had to be so real to just even like backstage, just hearing the roar before you came out, just in general, just hearing the crowd, and then like also doing it with a friend, because like Sage,
my friend Sage, she's also a DJ, but then she also is just like a creator around, like she dips and dabbles, she does a lot of stuff. So to be able to have that moment with someone that I've been very just like fond of and cool with, and we have our own like, you know, music industry talks on the phone, and then it was an incredible feeling. You know, her and I know we had been just preparing for that moment way months prior. It's so crazy because I believe it was only like a 10-minute set, but we were in rehearsal and doing it over and over and over, like it was like we were headlining.
Well, of course. I mean,
it was really crazy. And I think just hearing the crowd at that moment, if I could take myself back, a lot of emotions. You know, I had a little bit of nervousness, but then as soon as I stepped out and heard another scream, I was like, oh, okay, we're here with it.
Yeah.
So
because
amazing moment.
Yeah, because like you have that moment, of course, like say as an artist or as somebody who's trying, like you are gearing for these big arenas, like that's always the dream and everything like that. So like, of course, like you're gonna have that moment of it, but then also, like I said, especially if you've been doing it as long as you know you have been doing it, you're like, but I still got to make sure I deliver, because like that moment, like, yes, I did enough to get to this moment, but this moment could be a moment where it's like, dang it, I kind of botched it. So it's like you get into that mindset of, you know what, I still got to make sure that I give them what my journey was. They need to know that I deserve to be here and I deserve to be on bigger stages and keep on going.
And I had so many people around that time that were just so incredible too. I think them giving me the perspective of like, okay, this is the moment where you're about to step on the stage, but whether it goes good, whether it goes bad, whether, you know, people move and they know the words or they don't, what really matters is pretty much that little mini journey up until that moment. Yeah. I think that was something to really like find so much like peace and just feel really comfortable with, like, okay, you know, the mic might not work, you know, something might go wrong. However, you did just put in about 5 to 6 months before this happening. So that was my first major performance. There was so much that went behind that, so much anxiety for like 5 months, but it was all worth it for sure.
Oh, that was dope. I'm glad you was able to have that moment and even just experience it, because like I said, it is kind of like a man, my hard work is paid off. This is something
right. And you think about it too, you know, coming from Vine, it was a really tough transition. You know, there's a difference between an artist and then a difference between a Viner that's trying to be an artist or getting into that field. So I think that was a moment for me that even though maybe I had some people that were around me that were like, you're still a Viner. I'm like, well, I haven't seen many Viners on this Rolling Loud stage.
Hey, that's what I was gonna say. Because like I think one of the things that's very also impressive about your journey is like there is that social media fallout. Some people, there's not a lot of people that was able to transition from Vine to whether one of the the newer platforms or anything like that. But like I've seen like I think one of the dopest things to see, especially with TikTok flourishing as much as it is how Vines are being recirculated into TikTok, because it shows how impactful though that moment was. And I think that also for the people who were able to foresee, like, okay, I am putting a lot into these 6 seconds. Like I respected the Viners like such as yourself who were killing it, because I said, I am a content creator, but to be able to land a joke or land whatever content you was trying to do in 6 seconds is extremely hard. And so for those who were able to see that and put that work into those 6 seconds and say, but I'm going to put it into some little longer format, or for those such as yourself who was like, okay, yes, I am huge, I am popping in Vine, but I want to be seen as an artist. And you were able to make that transition where now it's like, yes, the Vine is a part of your history, but it is like, it's not like, oh, content creator and musician. No, it's musician, content creator. She got popping on like musician comes first. But we, in order to tell your story, we do have to talk about Vine. And I think that is really dope. And I think it's also because of the people that you working with, Jay Park and Roy Woods, and like even writing for the artists that you wrote for. And it's just like, yo, it's like, no, this is an artist now. This is an artist now, and then seeing you on places like Genius, which solidifies artists, like, doing these things that these artists do is like, yeah, this is really dope.
Yeah, there was something that one person had told me that like is probably one of my favorite people in the world. He had told me that I think I was going through like, I don't know, there's that one person that you call up when you're going through like everything. So I ended up giving him a call, and I was like, I'm upset about this and this and that, and it was really like, now looking back on it, I was just complaining. But he had told me, you just have to keep on going. And specifically what really resonated with me was the part where he said, the talent, people can't deny the talent. When you put your head down and you're focused and you try to be so well crafted at whatever your passion is or whatever your focus is, they can't deny the talent. So
look at, like I said, and then because there's certain people that now have established themselves in others. Like, so like when it comes down to the music room, you are one of the people that are up there heavy, that like transition from like a social media star to a musician, and now you're stamped as a musician, right? Because then you think of movies, like I give a lot of credit to like Melvin Gregg, who like people seen him as a Vine, and even when YouTube and Instagram, they were still that, and now like you see him in like big major, and then even I can't I'm lost at his name, but in Snowfall, the main actor, he was a huge UK Viner. Like people forget, and there's a lot of people don't even know that. Like he was doing, he was the UK version of King Batch. Like he was that big in Vine, but he scrubbed all that, and now you just think of him as Franklin Saint. You think of him as the actor in Snowfall. So it is that, is like, but that's because there was immense talent that was there. That was like, you can't deny that. Like, yes, they started on this small social media platform or big social media, however you look at it, but their talent lies into this, and now they are doing this full-fledged. So it's like, it's not a feat to be like, I kind of transition. Like, no, you killed it. You killed it, Wolf.
I think going from one platform to another platform is it's incredible within itself. I mean, there's so many people that have done it, and I feel like, everybody has to start from one place, like just even seeing people like, I think like someone who was really popular at the time was like Jay Versace, and now he's fully into like production and doing his thing in the music world. And then you had like Leon Thomas come from Victorious, from Nickelodeon,
right?
And now this man is obviously producing records, and I believe he was also doing music at that time. It's interesting to see like people like this go from something that's so heavily like 6 seconds, that's it. Nothing more, nothing less is 6 seconds. And then all of a sudden taking that and kind of navigating through their own journey, it's truly inspirational to see it. I feel like not everybody really sees it that way, because when you're in Vine, you know, a lot of the viewers too, sometimes, like how you mentioned, where maybe not a lot of people translated that, you know, I was becoming a Viner to an artist. You know, some people look at it as, I want you to be like my cool little secret. Like, I want you to be this way forever. And I've definitely have faulted to that too. You know, sometimes with like friends, I'm like, you're changing, like, or your schedule changed, we can't hang out as much. And sometimes it's, you have that initial reaction. But I think a lot of the people that were watching me from Vine for sure either watch like, you know, the YouTube episodes that I do, or like the little Instagram reels. They check in some way, and I'm always just really grateful for that.
Yeah. What's the one Vine that most of people refer back to for you?
Oh my God. There's probably two. There's probably one where this character that I did, her name was Jenny Patel. And then the second second one was me making a Vine to like some instrumental, and I made up some stupid song. It was called Butt Naked Nasty or Not. So.
I was just telling my one of my fellow podcast hosts about it. He was like, because I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm about to interview Wolftyla. He was like, who is that? I was like, you don't remember the Butt Naked Nasty or Nah? And he was like, I do remember that.
Just wait till I start, because I haven't had the opportunity to tour just yet because I'm in school. Yeah. But as soon as I graduate and I start touring, I know that those fans are gonna go crazy when they see the old Vines pop up on the little screen behind me.
Are you gonna do that? You gonna do it? Yeah.
Sure. Why not? I think it's nostalgic, you know.
It is. I'm letting you know now, if any of your stops is in Chicago or Milwaukee, I will make sure we come out to support. We're gonna be there.
Thank you.
Definitely come out
for sure.
So, all right. So we got 2 more segments and I'll get you out of here. We got one thing. I did get a lot of fan questions, which was really, really dope and everything like that. So the connection with Timbaland, how's your relationship with Timbaland?
Oh my God, I love Timbaland. When I had worked with him, it was such an eye-opening experience, just because that man hears music in a complete different way.
Yes, he does.
So when first, like, you know, working with him in Miami, I was like, you know, he was really encouraging me to like just push out of my comfort zone. Because sometimes when I go into the studio, I already have an idea, or I have, you know, some melodies that maybe I want to refer to, or sometimes I'll flip back in an old book and pull out those ideas. But I think he really allowed me to just start from a clean palette and just go in there, like, don't be afraid to like crack your voice or make different noises. We could always take that and turn it into an edit and do this and pitch it up, pitch it down. And I think that was the moment where I was like, wow, I can listen to music in a completely different way. It doesn't have to be verse 1, pre-hook. It doesn't have to be like that. So I think he just definitely opened my eyes of like, you know, if you're in the studio and it feels good, like lay it down and just rock with that. So it was really incredible working with him.
Dope. So you've had quite a story and journey already so far, right?
A long one, yeah.
Have you thought about, like, you know, a book or taking the Issa Rae approach and like outfitting a show around your life or anything like that?
Yes, I'm actually working on a book. I don't know if it would be called the book, but it's just a huge, just like composition of all my thoughts, and just advice and things that I'm maybe just thinking about at that time. Some of the things are dated. Some of them have a mixture of poetry. Some of them are just scribbles or just like lyrics that you can see that like this was my first approach when like writing a song like All Tinted or Candy. You see all like the cross out marks. So it's kind of very similar to almost like Tupac's book, the Rose That Grew from Concrete. So it's kind of in that similar format. And also just like it writes down my gratitude list too, of like things that like, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. So it just shows everybody kind of how my mind works. and it's crazy, but it's gonna get composed. So hopefully, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I'll release that within the next year or two, whenever it gets finished and polished.
Okay, we trust the process, so we're gonna allow you, allow you to cook it up. So we know that you are a big Studio Ghibli fan.
Oh my God!
Yeah. So a lot of fans want to know, like, what is your favorite animes? Now, caveat: it doesn't have to be in order. And give us 5. It doesn't have to be in order, and it can be currently.
Okay, as a Studio Ghibli fan, you caught me super off guard with that, just saying Studio Ghibli, like that is my child. I had the opportunity to go watch the composer. His name is Joe Hisashi, who's done the composition behind, legendary Hayao Miyazaki movies. Spirited Away is my favorite. Most popular, but still, like when I first watched that, I was like, I watch it every day. Howl's Moving Castle, Princess Mononoke, of course.
Solid.
The Wolf Girl and the Wolf, so I think those are like my top 3.
Okay, yeah, because and those are those obviously the Wolf one obviously you're gonna connect to it and everything like that. But yeah, no, Studio Ghibli is like that is upper echelons. Like they do solid work. And when I saw that, I said, ooh, and then started seeing some questions coming about it because everybody, anime culture in general is booming like crazy, and I love it. I love having these conversations. And because one of the things that I love, because like I said, our podcast is stemmed on hip hop culture and geek culture. So when we do live podcasts, we'll have a blend of hip hop fans who don't really watch anime and hardcore anime people, but it's they're all together. And so I always love when it's the thug, they be like, all right, man, so I want to get into anime, so let me know what to give, and then I started creating lists that they can understand, you know what I'm saying? So I'd be like, look, if you want to watch an anime where people are catching them hands, all right, watch these animes. If you want to watch it, but but I love getting people into anime or or blending those realms, because it's to me, it's such a dope blend of cultures, especially when you start seeing those elements in it, because a lot of hip hop swag mirrors some of the costumes or the designs that you see in anime. The baggy pants.
I love seeing that moment when hip hop artists or just artists in general blend that anime world, and they'll rewear an anime outfit or something, or kind of cosplay. I love that moment too.
So here's a recommendation that I know that you're mad busy, but if you ever get an opportunity,
I'm writing it down,
to hit DreamCon. So it is RDC's World Convention. So just like any anime convention is an anime convention, but this is ran by RDC World, and it's a Black convention. And a lot of those creators that you see that are doing that, those blend, King Vader, Pierre Steps, Kiera Please, stuff like that. This is where we all come to place, and and you'll just see a whole lot of Black people, a whole lot of, the Asian culture, but you'll see a lot of us where we are cosplaying and really going deep in it, right? You'll see a lot of us, just having debates about it. One of the things that they they always have the after party at these conventions, right? And it's usually EDM, which I'm cool with EDM and everything like that, but this is that blend of hip hop and EDM, right? So you'll see that the vibes are different. It's a really dope experience. And I've been going to conventions for a while. This was the first one where I was like, yo, it felt like a family reunion cookout vibe. It was just so dope. And I've been trying to tell everybody of this culture about that. Yo, this will be a really dope place that you should check out. So if you ever get any opportunity to hit one of these,
I'm definitely gonna check it out.
You should. I think you will feel so much at home, and the love is so there. It was such an amazing experience.
I definitely got to check it out. Yeah. No, I mean, I think even the way that you presented, I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm in there.
All right. So one of the last segments that we do is a recommendation. Now, this is for you to speak to our viewers, and I guess, your viewers that's going to be watching this, but something that you should think, it could be something that you're reading, you're watching, you're listening to, but something that you think that they should check out.
Okay. Something to watch. I feel like it's kind of a dark anime. People probably know about it. It's called Death Note.
Oh, yes.
I
Love Death
Death
Note.
Note. Like them trying to figure out who Kira is. Come on now. So I would definitely recommend Death Note. A book that I would recommend. What am I reading? Power of Now.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Power of Now. Life changing.
Yep. All right. Well, where can my people? Well, no, before I get there. When you finally retire later, and this is years down, and everything like that, how would you want the world to remember you?
How do I want the world to remember me? I just want people to remember me as a vessel of love. That's it. Not the person who maybe was making music or went to school or did this, that, and the third. I just want people to remember me as a vessel of love that just try to always be intentional and make a positive change. Anything that I could do, you know.
Dope. So where can my people find you, and what would you like them to support you on?
You can follow me on everything. Everything's the same. It's Wolftyla. And I have an album coming out very, very soon, probably towards the end of next year, called If You're Not Happy, Then Leave. So it will be on all streaming platforms. And my YouTube page is also Wolftyla. So there will be vlogs and stuff up there. Everything's just Wolftyla.
Awesome.
And if you want to check out the brand, it's Wolf members only. So.
Yeah. Do you want to give a quick insight onto the album at all?
Sure. Yeah. So If You're Not Happy, Then Leave is a project that was inspired by someone that I used to be really close with. And I think the moment that I was like, I'm going to name my album that, was when they were just like, if you're not happy, then leave. And that relationship ended up ending. But I left and I made an album. So this album talks about all those, vulnerable feelings that I was going through, me trying to chip away at my ego, but then also allowing my ego to kind of take over. And then it just talks about, the journey that I've been having with being here, being in school, moving, everything. It touches upon just a whole world of emotions. So get ready for a ride, because I think after people listen to, I think right now I'm settling on about 13 to 15 songs that no one has ever heard before. So I think once they get that huge project, it's going to be a lot to process. There's a lot of airy stuff, but there's also a lot of dark stuff. So
hey, that's a complete album. You got to go on a journey. Like I said, the mind of a person is complex. It's not just one wavelength. That's the same approach I take with my music. I make music that has to mean something, but it's always through the thought of a Black man. So it's like it is that. So no, that is dope. All right. Well, listen, this has been One-on-One with Deuces. I've been your boy Deuces. This has been the amazing Wolftyla, and we are out. Peace.
Thank you. Bye.